Brooke, first off, how has this trial been for you and your immediate family, like your father? Especially hearing last week's testimony from your aunt. That had to be a pivotal moment.
It's painful. It's hard to experience, and listening to her relive those moments and talk about Tammy, who we all really loved, is hard.
Yeah, what I gathered from her was just still this shock, even though it's been nearly 4 years, that how everything just unfolded so quickly. Nearly 4 years since Tammy died. Can you take me back to that time and the funeral, how quick it felt?
It was immediate. Traditionally, it would be like a week. You'd wait for people to be able to come, and it felt like she passed, and then there was a funeral, and then it was over, and we didn't have answers.
And I assume that you're close to your father. I mean, he's the oldest, you just said. What was it like for him trying to figure out the answers?
Devastating. And harder than that, I think, is just waiting and not knowing, and I'm hopeful that everyone will have some closure and sense of resolution soon.
And did you have initial suspicions after that funeral, or, were you just grieving? What was that like for you? What do you think?
Uh, it's hard to say. Everyone grieves so differently. And for me, I was mostly just confused. There was a lot of very quick change in everyone's lives after that, and it felt like a betrayal.
Yeah, can I ask when you actually found out that Chad had remarried, and who is this woman named Lori Vallow? It was just when did you find out?
For me, it was about a month later, maybe 5 weeks, something like that. It felt quick, but it was apparently faster than that even.
Yeah, yeah, it was only about 17 days, I think, after Tammy died, and then they got married. So what was it like, for your family, um, just trying to put all the pieces together and absorb this within the first month?
Um, Startling, surreal. It's something you don't really expect, so you don't know how to process it. It's new information that you don't know what to do with. And I think that we, throughout this entire process, have struggled with, okay, what now? What is happening? This is real, And we've taken that energy and tried to channel it into positive things, like with the foundation.
And just a month after you find out, then you're trying to process even more because you find out about JJ and Tylee missing. You find out about Charles Vallow, who had been killed just earlier that summer. And then you fast forward to June of 2020 and those devastating tragedies. The past few years, do you feel like your family has moved on and gotten closure, or like you said, trying to focus that energy on the foundation is one route in trying to heal?
Yeah. We have been trying to focus on healing and honoring Tammy. That's been really important to us. We can't join the investigators. We can't find a resolution solution on our own. But what we can do is focus on helping people and furthering what Tammy's legacy and life mission had been. So that's been something that we're able to put our energies and our hearts into to help us with that process.
And that's very admirable. And I want to find out more about the foundation as well. But just so you know, right now, the Utah medical examiner is testifying and really getting to the details of the autopsy that happened. How important is it for you to get the truth and the finer details of what happened? How much do you keep in contact or keep track of what's going on with this trial?
It's different for different members of our family. Some are listening every day and taking notes. Some have distanced ourselves so that we can protect our mental health and our hearts. And I think every approach is valid with that. It's painful.
Painful, yeah. I gotta imagine it's hard to absorb the details and getting the official cause of death, which you guys may have known for some time, but um, she was so healthy. We're learning so much more from witnesses about her fitness and that she was in a mental state, a happy mental state from what it seemed like from your aunt Samantha. Do you think that she had any idea about what was going on between Chad and Lori ever?
It's hard to speculate with that. I didn't have any idea. I don't know that anyone in my family could say.
It seems like it totally blindsided you guys. What was Tammy like to you as an aunt?
She was wonderful. We had a lot in common, and I really adored her. Um, Her raising up ducks and chickens and other animals inspired me to keep my own flock. Her love of books spread throughout our family, and it became a culture. We're all avid readers. She
Just
influenced us a lot, and she was incredibly kind and giving.
do you feel like sometimes you still, when you try to remember her, you still hear her voice or little things that she said, phrases, or if you could
Mhm.
share?
As strange as it is, Facebook Memories has played a huge part of this for me. Um, because so much of how we interact with our loved ones now is a lot of it's online, and especially where we didn't live in the same state for a long time. So, comments will pop up or things that you sent each other, and having those little love notes left behind has been wonderful.
When this story is brought up in the media, usually the focus is obviously on Lori, and Chad, and mainly her children, JJ and Tylee, as the victims. But there are other victims, and it seems that Tammy has always needed more of a voice through all this. Is that where you and your aunt have come in, and now that you're ready to speak, just like it seems like it's very important for you now to speak up so she is remembered, in coverage of this case.
Uh, I think that's why the members of the board and my family who started the foundation did do that, because we didn't want her to become forgotten. And we didn't want her life and legacy to be about this, but about what she loved and who she was and the things that she did. And a huge part of her life as a librarian was helping children learn to love reading. So a lot of our goals and our focus the past few years have been on that.
And yeah, let's talk about the Tammy Douglas Daybell Foundation, how you guys came up with the idea as a family. Really, when we think about libraries, I think it takes us back to our childhoods, and very happy moments and finding a place of peace, somewhere to learn or take us into our own fantasy worlds via reading. Just
I
what
like
is
that. I might take that caption.
what does that say about Tammy's personality and her passion about not just being a librarian, but she did it because she loved books and wanted to share that with
Yeah.
others.
And really that was, I think, part of the essence of the essence of her as a person. She was warm and safe, and I think most children have a memory of their librarian growing up that's good. Nobody remembers a mean librarian. And I think that's for a reason. Libraries and books and stories are, they're intrinsic to who we are as people. And Tammy was incredibly passionate about sharing stories and getting kids involved with reading. She spent a lot of her time and energy on finding grants and ways to help get more tools to help the kids in her community have access to books.
You feel like that's something she would have done till she retired? She was
Oh,
very,
yeah.
happy with that.
From the time that she was little, one of the favorite stories that my family likes to tell, my dad and my aunt and uncles, when they were kids, Tammy had her own little lending library in their house, and she took it very seriously. And so I think that was just a part of who she was for always.
She was meant to be a librarian at a young age. That's awesome. Um, is there anything else that you would like to mention? I know in the midst of all of this chaos and terrible details, you all I feel like this sheds a light on who she is. You have the opportunity and the platform to do that.
It's been heartbreaking, but it's been a blessing to be able to pour so much love and energy into that. Tammy's birthday is coming up. It's on May 4th. Um, she never quite got to celebrate her 50th, so we are making the best of each one that comes after. The foundation for her birthday, we're doing a series of micro donation blasts where we're trying to get as much money and help as we can in one day to as many librarians and teachers and programs that we can. So each member of the foundation will be selecting people to receive donations, and we are fundraising leading up to there. So if anyone wants to contribute to that and be part of what we're doing, that would be fantastic.
And I know there's a website and everything on social media to find out more about
Yeah,
this.
yeah. It's the Tammy Daybell Foundation.com. And right now we're able to accept donations just with PayPal. There's a link on our website. And all of the funds that we raise are going straight back into helping.
I'm also curious to know, just, kids, we grow up and we move on and we go into our careers, but how close were you guys still, even before she died?
I wish I could say that we saw each other every day, but there was some distance there. It was difficult. And I had also moved away for a few years, but that spring, when she died in the fall later that year, I had moved back to Utah just because I missed family. So we were taking every opportunity that we could to see each other, and we talked a lot online. I actually talked to her. Well, I can't really say talking. I left a funny gif of a duck on her page earlier that evening, and she liked it. And that was our last interaction.
I see there's a duck there too. Speaking of
Yes.
which, behind you. Yeah, so happy moments you shared, and that's awesome that you are a part of this force and remembering her with your family. And I think it helps bond you guys together. Um, so Brooke, thank you so much for your time, and I
Thank you for
appreciate it.
having me.
Yeah. So I'll be in contact when I want to put, if you're okay with it, I'd like to show people more of the interview and not just some clips, because I think it's good to show context and the conversation, and people are really following this whole thing. And some may have never met you, they have not been introduced to you yet. So again, appreciate your time.